Dragon Oliver Gate, Parker, first Andrew ever Wesley, American True Noah, Bravegate, Champion, GHC, first ever. You're not worth my time, Andrew. I will end you tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were going to bring you to our first match out in the ring, but this is going on as we speak. As the competitors are making their entrance, Yamamoto and KATHERINE SAKAMOTO have finally come to blows. We are here backstage, and Yamamoto hits a Rainmaker on KATHERINE. These two have had a rivalry over the past couple weeks, but it has not escalated to this point as of yet. But now with the women's tournament completed, the bracket to be announced tonight, Yamamoto and KATHERINE SAKAMOTO are finally coming to blows here backstage. These two have had problems dating back a few episodes now. And it all started with KATHERINE taking exception to Yamamoto being called multiple times the future of wrestling. KATHERINE, the MMA legend killer, she of course has a claim to be considered the next great female wrestler coming up. But she has had an issue with Yamamoto, and now Yamamoto has a chair. KATHERINE thankfully gets out of the way of that, and now KATHERINE tossing Yamamoto into those lockers. I mean, so far it's been, I wouldn't say respectful, but at the very least, it's been in the ring that these two have settled their differences. But now it has boiled over, and I think it has to do with both women not being on the run that they feel like they should be on right now. These two were looking to compete for the top spot in the Stormchaser tournament, but that they got those hopes dashed quickly by Caitlin Dunlap. Last episode of Academy Stormchaser, so now these two women are, oh, Yamamoto floors KATHERINE. These two women are sitting in third and fourth in the Stormchaser standings. Again, the bracket will be released tonight. Special guest Asuka is in the building, and she will be the one revealing the bracket. And now KATHERINE has Yamamoto, hits her with a neck breaker, and we will send help right away for these two women. Let's get to the ring as our first match is about to begin. Well, these two men were entering while we were watching Yamamoto and KATHERINE brawl backstage. We do have some security and some stagehands to help those two get them separated. Meanwhile, the Academy champion Garrett GIBSON, he has had a pretty busy schedule over the last few weeks, and there are many men that have laid claim to GIBSON's championship. Kurt Andrews is the current #1 contender. He has the first shot, but he announced last week that he would be waiting until the end of the Stormchaser tournament to take his shot at the champ Garrett GIBSON. We will see Kurt Andrews later tonight. He will take on Flyboy. Meanwhile, Lighter, he announced a few episodes ago now that he was going to return to more of his roots as a tag team wrestler. And that has come with some mixed success for sure, but some success. Lighter has climbed to a 4-4 record here. Oh, high angle German by Garrett GIBSON. Lighter is 4-4, 12 points. It's good enough to keep him in the top 8 for now. Meanwhile, Garrett GIBSON, after winning the championship from Scott Danielson, has not had a fantastic run of form ever since then. And Lighter looking to make even worse with a Tiger Driver. And Garrett GIBSON weighing in at almost 300 pounds, so that is a lot of weight crashing down onto the neck of the Lone Star. And now Lighter has Andrews or GIBSON into a powerbomb position. I believe he was looking for the call from Olympus. Well scouted by Garrett GIBSON, and now GIBSON lines him up. All-American clothesline. Gibson took a long running start for that, and I think he knocked the life out of Leiter. Garrett Gibson gets back on track with a win. And Gibson needed that desperately. He has not been in the best run of form since winning the championship. Losing, like I said, to Kurt Andrews and then to Eddie Hernandez. This is a guy with many enemies right now, but thankfully for him, he did not make another. Caitlin Dunlap is out here. The goddess Caitlin Dunlap, she's been on one of the best runs that we've seen from a GAW competitor really in the last year, but she wasn't scheduled to make an appearance on this show. I'm well aware that most of you can't understand this, but I, Caitlin Dunlap, have become the best women's wrestler in GAW. Let's take a look at the tape. Well, Caitlin Dunlap certainly has at least the ability to make that claim. You're seeing highlights of Dunlap within a couple days beating Yamamoto, KATHERINE, SAKAMOTO, Lazara, and Asuka. So certainly Caitlin Dunlap has proven that she is much more than just a rookie. Yes, that's absolutely right. I am the greatest female wrestler probably in the world right now, but we do have some business to take care of, and that's why I'm... Folks, I said that Asuka was here to announce the women's bracket for the Stormchaser tournament, but apparently she's here to do a little bit more than that. She has come out to confront Caitlin Dunlap, the woman that beat her on GAW Wednesday Night Storm just a couple days ago. You know what, Asuka? I'm glad you're here. I was going to ask for you to come out. In fact, I wasn't going to leave this ring until you did. And it's because I have one thing to tell you. I am better than you. I just am. I'm better than you as a person. I'm better than you as a model. I'm better than you as a wrestler. I'm just plain, flat out better than you. And I deserve a championship shot. No, I don't just deserve a championship shot. I deserve to be GAW Women's Champion. Because when I walk in the back, when I walk through the locker room, all I see is these pathetic excuses for wrestlers led by you, and they act as if they've earned something. I have actually earned something, and I demand, no, I deserve the opportunity to get what I've earned. And that starts with you. Caitlin Dunlap just absolutely beating the hell out of the GAW Women's Champion. We got to get someone out here to help this, folks. This is unbelievable. You can't do this to a legend. Well, it took a little while to finally get Caitlin Dunlap and Asuka separated, and I have to bring the bad news. I have to be the bearer of bad news that Asuka will not be able to announce the women's bracket, so I will do it myself later on in the show. And Caitlin Dunlap, well, we'll see where her story leads her, given the fact that she is still now must be considered one of the favorites to win the Stormchaser tournament with the run she's on top of the fact that she has now officially challenged Asuka for the GAW Women's World Championship. So a whole lot going on in the world of Caitlin Dunlap.
Yes, I like the rhymes.
All of us are born with the miraculous.
This is Ulysses Sky coming out, and we actually haven't seen a whole lot of Ulysses Sky since episode 1. He won an opening battle royal to give him 2 points, so he has consistently been near the top of the standings, but his record in the Stormchaser tournament is only 3-5, so he has not enjoyed the same kind of run in the Stormchaser tournament that you would think that he would have. But that being said, he is still one of the more dangerous men in the academy because of his background, and I've also been told to tell you on behalf of both men, Overload claims to have moved one of the Stonehenge monuments 6 inches to the left, and Ulysses Sky claims to be the inventor of indoor pyrotechnics. I've been told to tell you that on behalf of both men. And they're about to face off in the ring. Overload was famously part of that draw with Andrew Wesley when Overload used Wesley's body to break the entire ring. And since then, Overload has not exactly been on the best run of form. He is 3-4-1 right now, so he's just battling to get into the top 8 with 2 matches remaining. It's still mathematically possible for him to get there, but he has to win today in order to make that happen. Meanwhile, Ulysses Sky fighting to stay in the top 8. He can clinch a top 8 spot with a win here, sitting at 3-5. Overload just tosses him right up in the air. Ulysses Sky is a former GAW Academy champion. He held that belt for over 6 months, so he is very accomplished. And now Overload just tossing him from one side of the ring to the other. The strength of Overload absolutely cannot be denied. But Ulysses Sky, well done, using his speed and quickness to try to counter. Sky climbing to the top of the ropes. Sky elbow for Ulysses Sky. The big elbow drop straight to the chest of Overload gets Ulysses Sky the win. The Sky elbow. And so that means mathematically Ulysses Sky is safe in the top 10 with a win, and Overload has been eliminated from contention for that top 8. With this loss, he drops down to 3-5-1. Congratulations to Ulysses Sky. That is a big, big win. And folks, coming up next, Andrew Wesley, ahead of his match with his eternal rival Oliver Parker, breaks his silence. This is not something I wanted to do. This is not something that I've been looking forward to. The reality is my Stormchaser tournament, the way that I've performed, is nowhere near my standards. I know that. Everyone knows that. And so I wanted to stay silent. I wanted to focus, bear down, and do what I need to do to get myself back on track. But Oliver Parker couldn't let me do that. Of course he couldn't. This is how Oliver Parker does things. This is how he operates. He hides in the shadows. He gets people's attention with these creepy little vignettes, but he knows that when push comes to shove, he cannot compete on the highest level. I respect everything that he's done. How can you not? And I know that people in my position are supposed to say, I understand and I forgive. But that's not the case. I hate Oliver Parker. I hate what he's done. I hate who he is. I hate what he stands for. And the reality is that even though that my tournament has not gone the way that I've expected, it's not gone the way that I've planned, it's not gone the way that I've want, but all of that changes. All of it will change if I win, if I beat Oliver Parker, because that's all I want to do. At this point, every match counts, but that match against Oliver Parker counts more than the rest. That is the match that I'm looking forward to. That is the match that I've had circled on my calendar. That is the match that I will sell out everything for. I will do it now, and I will do it every time that I meet Oliver Parker in the ring, because every wrestling fan, every one of you out there deserves to know that Oliver Parker is not a world-class professional wrestler. He is not a man to look up to, and I'm not saying I am, but I am saying that I will put Oliver Parker in his place, and I will not lose. I've become so accustomed to seeing this entrance for the Buccaneer Kurt Andrews. Go follow him on Twitter, by the way, at jar_o_dirt. This guy holds multiple championships in different promotions right now, but he has said that he will not enter with those championships. He will not mention those championships because he wants to make a name for himself in the GAW Academy, and he is certainly doing that. He is 8-0 right now, one of 2 undefeated men in the Stormchaser tournament, and he's up against another test in this match today. Flyboy is one of the most interesting competitors that we have here in the Academy, a guy with boatloads and boatloads of potential at just 26 years old, having been in the business for less than a year. He's already notched up some major wins, and now he gets an opportunity to do that against the undefeated Buccaneer Kurt Andrews. We are about to witness maybe the 2 best athletes in the GAW Academy, and not only that, but they wrestle with the pace that matches their athleticism. So we might see a 30-minute match crammed into 10 minutes here in the Stormchaser tournament, and a whole lot rides on this match. Flyboy has not had the Stormchaser tournament that I believe he was expecting, but obviously oh my God, Flyboy was looking for some kind of somersault move, and Andrews just lets him hit the deck. So the Flyboy mathematically still able to achieve a 500 record. He is 3-5 right now with 2 matches remaining in the Stormchaser tournament. Meanwhile, Kurt Andrews is still undefeated at 8-0. The only other undefeated man in the Stormchaser tournament so far is, of course, Eddie Hernandez, a man who has dominated most of the headlines over the last few weeks in the GAW Academy. Both Andrews and Hernandez are undefeated. Hernandez has won his match against Scott Danielson this week. We will not bring it to you, but Andrews did get the win. So he is 9-0. If Andrews is to win here to go 9-0, those 2 men will face off in the final match of the GAW Stormchaser tournament. That happens next week as the men's group stages wrap up. Both men would be 9-0, and it's possible that they could be fighting for first place in the Stormchaser tournament. It depends on Oliver Parker's match with Andrew Wesley in the main event tonight. Flyboy takes the back of Kurt Andrews on the top. Andrews elbows him away. Andrews at the right time, saw it coming, and now Andrews shooting star press. Oh, that is pretty. That is a beautiful shooting star press. And now Kurt Andrews gets Flyboy to his feet. Andrews double underhooks in. Andrews, Eye of the Storm. Andrews saw it coming from Flyboy, hooks the leg, and Kurt Andrews remains undefeated. Well, we didn't quite go the 10 minutes, but that certainly was a whole lot of stuff that we just saw from these 2 men. A high-paced match, as I expected, and Kurt Andrews remains undefeated, and that sets up one incredible match for next week on GAW Academy Stormchaser. Still to come, we will announce the women's bracket, and we will also see the grudge match between Oliver Parker and Andrew Wesley. But first, let's talk about the matches that we did not see, starting, of course, with Eddie Hernandez. He took down his Hernandez brothers' teammate and former champion, Scott Danielson, to remain undefeated. Stefford Drummond picks up a big win over Tonga. Lancelot remains undefeated since his debut in the GAW Academy. He beats Lee Carr. Mexican Shia hands Jackal another loss. And so Jackal, once again, having more and more issues with his mentor, La Tortuga Roja. Jackal has yet to pick up a win since Roja was attacked and tensions began between those men. So that brings us to the standings now, and for the first time in I think about 7 weeks, Oliver Parker is not atop the standings, but of course he still has a match. So if he were to beat Andrew Wesley coming up next, that would advance him to 8-1, 19 points. He would regain that first place spot. Hernandez and Andrews both undefeated, sitting at 18 points ahead of their clash next week in the final match of the Stormchaser group stages. Garrett Gibson with 17 points after a win. Ulysses Sky with his win stays within striking distance of that top 4 with 15 points. Scott Danielson and Lancelot now tied at 5 and 4. Lancelot has been hot since he has made his debut in the GAW Academy. It is a log jam there with the men down at 12 points. Lighter, Jackal, Overload, Flyboy, and Mexican Shia, as well as Stefford Drummond, all sitting with 12, and Andrew Wesley could join that group depending on what happens later on in his match with Oliver Parker. Lee Carr and Tonga both sitting in last place at 1 and 8. They become the last men to go for double-digit points. Folks, our main event sees Oliver Parker against Andrew Wesley, and immediately following that, we will announce the GAW Stormchaser Tournament Women's Bracket. Bad blood doesn't even begin to describe the feelings between Oliver Parker and Andrew Wesley. A rivalry that is almost biblical in length, in stature. And, we've seen both men talk about each other. We've seen, of course, we just showed you a little glimpse into the history between these two men. I've alluded to it several times. This is not a rivalry that's going to go away with this one match, but certainly when it comes to bragging rights, there may not be a match where bragging rights are more important than in a match between Oliver Parker and Andrew Wesley. And it goes beyond that because Oliver Parker, of course, still fighting to stay in first place. If he were to lose here to his eternal rival, we would have a 3-way tie atop this standing. So that opens up an entirely different can of worms. Andrew Wesley coming in has had a much different Stormchaser tournament to Oliver Parker. Of course, Parker has been atop the standings for most of this tournament. He is 7-1. He won an additional 2 points by winning an opening battle royal. So Parker has really cruised atop the standings. Meanwhile, Andrew Wesley has had a really tough go of it at 3-3-2. 2 draws, both matches that he could have easily won, and one of them against Overload was not even a draw that we were prepared to have. We had to go through the rule book to find out what happens when the ring literally breaks during a match. So Andrew Wesley has been hard done by some of the results here, and he is just fighting to get out of the basement of the Stormchaser standings right now. But I don't know if any of that matters to him as he locks up with the man that he hates more than anyone on earth, Oliver Parker. This is a main event, like I've said many times, that we could see in any promotion on earth, but we are seeing it here in the GAW Academy. I can't wait. 10-minute time limit. Oliver Parker immediately charges out of his corner right at the bone saw. pop-up Meteora from Parker. This is, I mean, these two men, they have faced off before. This is nothing new, but not as much as you would expect for two men that have been rivals for so long. I mean, only a handful of matches between these two, and it's because most of their wrestling careers, they've been in different promotions. Andrew Wesley is a former GHC champion over in Pro Wrestling Noah. Andrew Wesley, former GHC national champion in Pro Wrestling Noah, a former Pancrase welterweight champion in MMA. Oliver Parker spent most of his time in Dragon Gate. He is the only American to be considered Dragon Gate Trueborn, and he is a former Open the Brave Gate champion. And floors Andrew Wesley with that heavy right hand. Parker does not have the same background in MMA that Andrew Wesley does. Instead, Parker spent more time in the Dragon Gate system. Wesley going for that sliding kick. Parker out of the way. Wesley spent 3 years in mixed martial arts. Parker spent only 6 months competing as a professional, but in that 6 months, he also was a Pancrase welterweight champion. So, again, could these two guys have more similar careers? I don't think that is possible. Oliver Parker goes for the cover off of that series of stomps. Wesley able to kick out. Parker really disappeared off the face of the earth when he trained in Dragon Gate. Meanwhile, Andrew Wesley was piling up wins in Pancrase. And now Wesley, look at the strength. Oliver Parker weighs in at about 235 pounds. And Wesley just slams him down. You can see that Parker has the size advantage over Andrew Wesley. But that has never stopped Wesley before. Parker gloating a little bit over the prone body of his rival. Wesley finally makes his way to his feet, avoids that overhand blow from Parker, and now a forearm to the face of the Oni King, Oliver Parker. Wesley drags him into the center of the ring, and now Andrew Wesley will go for the cover. Easy kick out from Parker. Parker going for that combination. Wesley catches it. I mean, again, the mixed martial arts background of both of these men is really unbelievable. And now Wesley, schoolboy with the release. That is west of the rising sun. It's so hard to defend because you're thinking schoolboy pin, and now Andrew Wesley going for the cover. Andrew Wesley has beaten his rival. Wow, Andrew Wesley. What a fitting man to bring Oliver Parker back into a three-way tie atop the standings. Wow, Andrew Wesley. And look at this, Oliver Parker. This is disgraceful from the Oni King. Can't take his loss, and so he has to exert physical dominance over a tired Andrew Wesley. Unbelievable from Oliver Parker. Showing why Wesley tends to be the fan favorite among the two. I don't know if Parker has ever really come to grips with that. But before we go off the air, of course, we have to announce the women's bracket for the Stormchaser tournament knockout stages. This is going to be one of the best tournaments that you will ever witness. And we will begin by announcing the final field. And we will start by announcing the number 1 seed is, of course, the current GAW Academy Women's Champion, Lazara, at 5-1-1, 14 points. She will be taking on Katana, who nearly went winless in the tournament, picked up a win in her final match. And the winner of that will go on to face the winner of the 4-5 matchup, the 4 seed currently, Yamamoto, a fall from grace for the Stormbringer, 12 points. She will take on Kristen Sakamoto, the sister of Yamamoto's rival KATHERINE. Kristen grabbed the 5 seed after a loss, a shocking upset to Katana. So the winner of that will take on the winner of Lazara and Katana. On the other side of the bracket, the 2 seed, Caitlin Dunlap. Unbelievable that Caitlin Dunlap has ascended to the number 2 seed. She won 2 points last episode of Stormchaser and also won the right to win a tiebreaker, which she has over Katherine Sakamoto. So 3 and 4, Caitlin Dunlap will take on 2 and 5, Martina Del Sol in the 7 seed. It's amazing that those two, their record just 1 win difference, and yet here is Dunlap number 2, Del Sol number 3. The winner will face the winner of our final matchup, Katherine Sakamoto at 5-1-1. She will take on Thunderbolt Suzuki at 3 and 4. What a tournament that is going to be, and that will start in 2 episodes, I believe, if my math is correct. 3 episodes, I should say. The men will conclude their Stormchaser tournament group stages next episode, culminating with Eddie Hernandez versus Kurt Andrews for first place with their undefeated records on the line. What a match that is going to be. I hope that you all will join us for that. Subscribe. We appreciate you.